From this side, it doesn't look too bad. So that's a problem. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're just doing a little bit of work here on this John Deere x320. I am still working on the Scott's riding mower, but we just had around 2 feet of snow. Everything has since melted, and I can finally get back to working on it. I did do a little work in the meantime since the last video, which I will get you caught up to speed on. But I have to do some tinkering with this one in the meantime. Just a little background here. I picked up this mower probably about 2 years ago. I think I paid like $38, but I can't remember. It wasn't a lot. It has pretty much sat since then because it's missing some pieces. First of all, the deck has been cracked and repaired, and then I went and put a big hole in it when I was unloading. So I've been waiting to see if I could find a replacement deck. It's about $400 for an aftermarket. It needs a mowing deck. It needs a mowing deck. Did not come with one. And it also needs a new seat. And I think that I found a genuine OEM seat for $160. So I've been kind of waiting to see if I could source some parts used instead of paying, $1,000 for this machine. But the good news is that this mower has, I'll show you once we actually get into working on this machine. I think it has about 533 hours. So in our area, this should price out at around $2,500. So even at, $1,000, let's just say, if I got to put $1,000 into it, I'm cool with that because it still should, return 2,500. So the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because I found a deck. It is about 2.5 hours away, and it's $500. So before I am really willing to spend that time and money into getting a deck, I wanted to at least do some, I don't know what you call it, just like preliminary work, just to make sure that this thing is going to be viable. I do know that the engine runs because last fall I was kind of just doing some preliminary work, doing some spark and compression tests, and I just put some carb spray into the air cleaner, or in through the air cleaner, seeing if it would spark off. And not only did it do that, but it actually ran on its own fuel. However, since then, we've got some issues. Let me put you right here. I picked up this magnetic tripod. So anytime you hear like this abrupt slamming, that's me just moving the tripod. And so far it's been pretty cool for what I'm doing anyways. I'll bring in here once I get the air filter out. First problem is I drained the fuel last year, at least from the carburetor, and thinking that this has got a fuel pump so it's not going to overflow from the tank. Well, as you can see there, it certainly did. Which means that the crankcase is almost certainly full of thinned out gas and oil. Yes, it smells like gas. So I'm going to have to drain that. Anyways, I know the engine runs. I ran it last year and it sounded really, really good. So I'm happy about that. However, I did not check the transmission. So that's really like the onus for doing this today, or getting started on this anyways. I need to drain the fuel, do a very casual oil change, just so that way we don't burn anything up. Get this thing running and make sure that it goes forward and backwards. That's all I really care about right now. Because if it does, then I'll go get that mower or more mowing deck, and then probably order the hood and the seat. And I would like to get all that done by this weekend so I can run down. Today is Tuesday, and I'd like to run down and get that deck on Sunday. It's been sitting listed for sale on Marketplace for a couple of months now, so I'm not super concerned that it's going to sell, but it's always a possibility. The other problem, so before I noticed that the carburetor had overfilled, that's the other thing too, is I probably got to do a carb clean. The needle's probably stuck, but I was spinning it over and I got all kinds of shrapnel coming out of the starter here. So this guy is all busted up right here, and I want to pop the starter out just to make sure that the gears aren't all destroyed in there. So if I need to get parts, then I can do that. So that's kind of our goal today. I just want to get this, I don't know if you can hear in the background, but I got a little helper with me. I just want to get this starter out so I can get it on the bench. Just ensure that there's nothing wrong. If I need parts, I can get parts, because I can do the oil change, I can do the carb clean pretty much anytime. But if I need parts for this starter, I got to get that like ASAP, because my local parts store, they don't always have, it's a John Deere dealer, but they don't always have parts, especially like, model specific. A lot of the stuff that is like more or less universal or cross machine compatible, they have that kind of stuff, but they don't always have stuff that's like specific only to one model. So red is on the outside. This guy, those are dirty. This, I know nothing about this machine. I got it at an auction, like I said. I don't know the history. I don't know how well it's been taken care of. I don't know if it's blown up. Well, I know it's not blown up, or at least it wasn't, because I had it running and it sounded great. Well, what in the world? How's that spinning the thread? It's spinning the bolt and the nut, but I can't. That's not a through bolt, is it? It sure is. Well, I'll be darned. The other option is to take off this shroud cover, and then there's a, let me see on this. So on the starter here, right, I'm trying to get this guy off so that way the starter can drop down, but the whole plate also comes off from the back there. But I think, yeah, I can't really get back to get those. I suppose if I had my socket set out here, I could, but I just grabbed a couple wrenches because I thought, well, I'll just pop this guy off here and call it a day. But I don't know. Yeah, it's not going to work anyways because there's another one in the back. So we got to go get some sockets. All right, 2 bolts, and this should come right out. But I can't see it. Can you see it? Yeah, I was looking up some parts diagrams because I had, oh boy. So I noticed that there was some debris and, you know, carnage coming from the starter. I was looking at some parts diagrams, trying to figure out what it could be. And I got real nervous because, you know, it'd be like a shroud or, you know, just some basic, more or less what you would consider a routine part. And they wanted like $140 for it. So I'm like, oh man, hope it's not that. So I figured it would just be better to actually take it off and do a visual inspection before I get too carried away. Oh, good news is it's dropping out. Okay, try not to lose that bolt. What are we stuck on? Here's the bolt. Okay, there we go. All right. So there. Doesn't look too bad. Just this little. Oops. No, it's. I saw this indentation here. I thought it was like a crack or a worn part, but looks like that's what holds this boot on. It's just like a rubber dust cap. But you know what? I don't know if one of the things that was weird was when I was looking at the parts diagram, they would show like all of this as one unit, and it was like $240. They wouldn't show you the part numbers for this cap, the gear, or this cap. So I'm gonna have to do just a little bit of research to figure out. But for the time being, the good news is that I think that we're okay to possibly fire this without this dust cap. So I have to, what do I say? Clean the carb, change the oil, drain the fuel, and then we can fire this thing up, test the transmission. All right, we're back here. It's a couple days later. My helper was getting a little restless, so had to call it quits the other day. I'm just draining the oil, and it doesn't look, I'll show you once it's all done. It doesn't look as thinned out as I thought it would have been. Based on the smell, there's definitely some gas in the oil, but I would have expected it to be a lot thinner. So, I mean, it's still a good thing that we're changing it. And this is just some cheap oil that I'm putting into it for right now. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid putting much into this until I know that the transmission is any good. So I'm getting tired of walking around this hood, so I thought we'd see if we could pop it off without breaking more parts. Unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case. But that was already broken, so that's okay. It's funny how, from what I've read anyways, you know, different manufacturers, everyone's got their favorites and whatnot, but I have read and I can attest to the fact that even though I like John Deere's, personally, I've always had a John Deere, mainly because my dad always had a John Deere. So I'm impartial to John Deere's. That being said, I will say in my experience, the older plastic hoods do not hold up very well. They get brittle, you know. So while the oil's draining, let me show you the starter, what we figured out here. So the rubber piece that disintegrated sat down here on the bottom, and I thought it was like a dust cap, but I think it's like a spacer to pre-tension the starter drive gear. And so without it, I did order a new, had to get the whole kit, not this cap, but the drive gear. There's a new spring and a new C-clip underneath. So I got that coming. That rubber spacer is connected to the drive gear. That's what these little indentations are in the teeth that hold it into place. So I'm going to throw this back on. But without that pre-tension or preload on the drive gear, I'm not positive it's going to work. So we might have to wait until we get that new one. But I figured we're out here, I'm going to mess around with the oil and the carburetor anyways. May as well just see if we could throw this on and what happens. Alright, oil's mostly done draining, starter's back on. Just going to start working on the carburetor here. I disconnected the power signal for the fuel shutoff solenoid right here. And just to show you guys, I brought out a bunch of these different, and I got a bunch of these little thin kind of junk wrenches. These come with like, I don't know, angle grinders usually, you know, these kinds. But you also get them for like random furniture stuff that you buy. I hang on to all those because this one's perfect for getting this little nut on the back here. It's too small. The diameter is too small to fit a normal thickness wrench. So you kind of gotta either grind down a normal wrench or have one like this. If I can get a spot to grab on here, that's a different story. The other thing that we could do is we could, I guess, take off this whole cover here, because then I could get the wrench down lower. Couple of bolts. Where do you want to go? Why don't you go right there? Now we should be able. One of the things that I enjoy and also annoys me about working on machinery is that it's never like simple, you know? You would think that, oh, I'm just going to pop this solenoid off the carburetor, no big deal. But no, you got to remove the cover. Then you got to move this cover. Then maybe a bolt will break. But it's part of the challenge. That's what makes it so rewarding once you get it done, I think. I got to continuously check to make sure that my microphone is on. In the last video, it shut off on me for no reason. And I don't think the battery was dead. I think either I just hit the button or something, but ever since then I'm kind of paranoid about it. So yeah, ideally, I don't know that I'm going to drain the whole fuel tank. Like I said, it ran last fall on the gas that was in there. And I know it's old, but it's not like it's not like crazy old, so I think we just gotta check to make sure that the needle's not stuck in the carb, and maybe do a carb clean, and then we should be able to fire it up, see if it'll run on the fuel that's in it. If not, then I'll drain it. Is that it? One more. Well, it turns out that didn't give us as much room as I had hoped for, but hopefully it's enough. So my super spectacular wrench maybe is not going to work. It's weird. It's not like a normal nut where it's got, you know, 6 sides or 6 faces. It's got two flats so you can grab on, and they are positioned in a poor spot where I can't really get on it. All right, I did find I had a wrench that the profile is thin enough to fit behind the solenoid here. So this is a 13 millimeter. I think it's actually a 1/2 inch, but this one works. And let me get a little cup here, catch some fuel. Oh, she's stinky. There's some debris in here, but this also was not a clean container, so chances are a lot of that was there already. But a little schmoo on here. Solenoid works, so that's good. So what do you want to do? Should we, I don't know, is it worth popping the, we got to take the whole carburetor off just to get at the bowl off. It's got 2 screws on the bottom there, and I don't think I can get a screwdriver on there. I don't have a stubby Phillips with me, so I don't think I can fit a normal screwdriver. I suppose I could go find a stubby Phillips, or if the needle was stuck open, this should be dripping fuel, right? Because it would be constantly filling up. So maybe we could just throw the solenoid back in, and with the starter somewhat fixed, more broken hood, we can throw the solenoid back in, put some oil in, and just see what happens. We'll turn it over and just go from there, see what happens. How's that sound? Like I said, I know this is not probably going to make some people cringe. The fact that I'm not cleaning things or doing things or whatever, but That's not my goal right now. I'm just trying to make sure that before I go drive for 5 hours and spend $500 on a deck, that this transmission is going to be any good. Where'd I put my wrench? Somehow I got two. Oh, there it is. Right in my hand. Right now, I'm in my, what I like to call, affectionately, my tractor / equipment staging area. And my wife calls it the junkyard, but to each their own, right? Problem is, my shed's way over there. So every time I need something, I gotta go get it. So, what do we gotta get? Jumper pack. I gotta get the jumper pack. I'll be right back. Okay, we got oil in. Starter's back on. We got fuel drained out of the carb at least. And right now, we're gonna spin it over and see if the starter will do anything. So, your job is to make sure that this starter drive gear can pop up and engage. And we'll know because, well, I'll know. I don't know if you guys can see, probably not. If it engages, the flywheel will spin. So that's how I'll know. But you guys can watch that. Just let me know if there's anything catastrophic about to happen, okay? Carb spray. And then parking brake is on. We'll go half throttle, full choke. And that doesn't sound good. Yeah, it's not engaging. Shoot. So that means, what does that mean? That means one of two things. Either because it doesn't have that preload, which is the likely culprit, or the flywheel is seized, which it's not. So, looks like we're stuck here for now until they get that that little rubber spacer kit for the starter drive gear. Should be here in a couple days, and pick it up then. But since I told you last time I was going to show you, this machine has 513 hours. So, like a typical riding lawnmower, anything under 1,000 hours is generally acceptable. This is a little bit beefier than your average, so I would be fine running this probably till 1,500, 2,000 hours. So that's a huge selling feature, and that's what's going to help us retain a lot of the value for it. So yeah, I'm just going to get things cleaned up, and we'll pick it up when that starter drive gear comes in. Well, that starter drive gear spacer, I don't know what you want to call it, the rubber piece, that whole kit came in faster than expected. So last night I got this put back on, and got this little cover put back on, and I think we're ready to test it out. I'm just running off the fuel that was in it. We'll give that a shot first. The jumper pack is chirping, ready to go. Just put the transmission back into gear, and we'll see if this thing fires up, and hopefully transmission drives as well. So nothing. Okie doke. Alright, let's try this again. my jumper pack had poor connection. Oh, some choke would be handy. Let's see, how can I do this? Turn the key and hold you at the same time. Should have brought the tripod out here. Hang on a sec. Can you hold this for me?
Yeah.
Just right there. Keep it right there. So apparently the initial fire up, I forgot to hit the old record button. So we'll try this again. Reenact it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it runs great. It sounds awesome. Like I said, 513 hours. So runs great. Next step, after I turn this beep off, next step is going to be, I found a deck. I'm going to go pick that up here in a week or so. And then I got to order a new hood. I'm going to strip out everything from the inside because the hood is just the exterior cowl. So like headlights and the grill have to come out. This badging has to come off. The interior hood has to come out. And then we can get that all reassembled on the new hood. And then we're going to go ahead and replace this busted up seat and get a new battery, and then just do some normal service and maintenance, you know, oil change, fuel filter, and then I got to check the condition of the tires. Both front tires were flat. I just used the jumper pack to put some air in them. I don't know if they're going to hold or not, so we might have to get tubes in those. Rear tires seem pretty solid. But yeah, I'm super happy. This is a really nice machine, and it's going to be awesome once we get it finished. So this time I'm going to wrap up here now that I have no other parts coming. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, thanks for watching.